Now we will be talking about certain special cases that we encountered during a poll day. Before that, let us just rewind on the normal procedures in an election polling station. Now, normally when a new voter comes in, he first meets the first polling officer with an identity card. And looking at the identity card, once the serial number is known, the first polling officer loudly reads out the serial number of the voter. Once the serial number is read aloud, the candidate's agents can see the voter and they recognize him to be a genuine voter of the polling station. Subsequently, the polling officer reads out the name, and in the marked copy of the particular polling station's voters list, the first polling officer puts a diagonal line in the box of the voter in the electoral roll. A red line is drawn starting from the photograph diagonally to the other corner. If the voter is a female voter, subsequently the first polling officer also puts a round around the voter's electoral number. Subsequently, the first polling officer in the data sheet which is given to him, where he has to mark the statistics. If it is a male voter, he has to tick the male column. If it is a female voter, he has to tick the female column. So this is the role of the first polling officer. Subsequently, the voter moves to the second polling officer. The second polling officer, again, he verifies the electoral roll number, and then in the 17A register that is present with him, he mentions the electoral roll number. Subsequently, he gets a signature of the voter, and then he applies the indelible ink on the forefinger as per instruction. That is, starting from the skin, it must be a straight line drawn to the tip of the finger. So this is the next thing. And subsequently, by the time the finger's indelible ink is dried up, the second polling officer will write in the voter slip the serial number of the 17A register, again the voter's electoral roll number, and then put an initial and hand it over to the voter. This role of the second polling officer is over. With this voter slip, the voter next moves to the third polling officer. The third polling officer, after verifying the indelible ink, collects the voter slip, keeps it safely, and subsequently he or she presses the ballot in the control unit. Once the ballot is pressed, the vote is told to move to the secret compartment, the voting compartment. There, according to his choice, he presses the blue button. Immediately, the slip is generated in the VVPAT. He can view it for 7 seconds. It will be available in the window. Once it's 7 seconds over, it falls into the drop box. Immediately, a beep sound comes in the control unit, indicating that the vote has been registered, and that is a normal way in which a normal voter completes the voting and moves out of the polling station. This is the normal way in which a vote takes place. But there are situations where a new unexpected thing can happen in a polling station. We will be talking of such things. There are three main important things that could happen. One is the tendered vote, the other is the challenge vote, and the third is the test vote. These are the three scenes that we are going to talk about. We are now going to talk about another special situation, special case. Before that, I will just explain to you that the number 17 is a very important number as far as the polling officials and the presiding officer must know. 17 has to do with votes. 17A is a register used to account for all votes that has been cast inside the EVM. That is 17A. Then you got 17B. 17B relates to tendered votes. We'll come to the tendered votes now. The form 17B relates to tendered votes. These are votes that are not cast inside the EVM but by the ballot paper, old system. So 17A, votes cast in the EVM. 17B, votes cast by the voter in a ballot paper. 17C is the account of votes. that has to be submitted to all candidates agents, and this 17C is of 4 pages. Page 1 and page 2 has to be filled by the presiding officer and the polling officials in the polling station. Page 1 relates to certain control unit number, balloting, very simple data that has to be filled. Page 1. Page 2, we have to get the signature of all the candidates agents, and here in page 2 there are serial numbers of the paper slip, green paper slip, strip seal, etc., special tag, etc., all has to be mentioned here. So 1 and 2 relates to the activities in the polling station. This is to be handed over along with the CU, and this will be taken up during the countings. So the other part of it is page 3 and page 4. Page 3 relates to counting. So this will be used at the counting table by the counting personnel. Here the name of the candidate, number of votes displayed by control unit, number of votes as per the VVPAT, etc., has to be written down here. So this will be done by the officials in the counting table, and this is the acknowledgement received from the agents. So these are the 2 parts. 1 and 2 should be used and filled in the polling station, and 3 and 4 will be used in the counting table, and this is the most important document as far as the polling station goes. 17C gives you the account details of the all votes recorded. Okay, so this is the 3 important things: 17A, 17B and 17C. And this must be always, copies should be taken, because this has to be handed over to every candidate's agent, because they will also bring this at the time of the counting. And now this therefore must be made in copy, not handwritten copy, but by carbon copy. So they will be provided carbons, keep carbon paper, write carbon copies of this 17C, and necessarily hand over 1 copy to all of the candidates agents that they will bring at the time of counting, the counting table. So this is the most important thing, 17C. Okay, and the original pen written copy should be handed over to in a sealed cover at the receiving of table along with the CU. This will be kept along with the CU and will be taken at the time of counting. Now let us talk about a tendered vote. What is a tendered vote? This is a very special situation where a voter comes for voting. He is identified. Once he is identified, when the first polling officer checks the electoral roll, he or she finds that this voter's vote has already been cast, because they will find a cross diagonal mark. So that indicates that this voter has already cast his vote. But by looking at the person and looking at his forefinger, there is no indelible marking. That means that this voter says that we identify that he has not voted. Now what do we do? Somebody else erroneously, somebody else purposefully, or somebody else unknowingly has voted in his place, and somehow it has missed the sight of all the people. And therefore this person now comes for voting, actual voting, and his vote has been done by somebody else. So he cannot be sent back, because it is not his mistake that somebody has cast his vote. In such cases, such persons are permitted to vote, but they will not be voting. Again I repeat, they will be not voting in the EVM, because his part number, serial number has already been entered into the 17A register, because it has been registered in the EVM. So we cannot again write the same serial number in the 17A. So what do we do? Such a person is told to go to the presiding officer. The presiding officer, all presiding officers are given a set of ballot papers. The ballot papers will contain the same symbol, same name, it will be similar to that what is present in the balloting unit, and this is given to the voter and is explained to him that he can cast the vote as per the old system. That is, he will be given a cross arrow mark, a seal, he can move to the secret compartment, then against the candidate of his choice he can put a mark, and he can fold it, put it in an envelope, and then the envelope sealed will be given to the presiding officer. The presiding officer will put in another cover and hand it over at the receiving table. So this vote may not be counted, will not be used for counting. But there is a situation where a voter, because it is not his mistake, somebody has voted, because he has to be given a chance to vote. He continues the process and votes. Now, if a person whose vote has already been cast by somebody else, he is made to cast his vote in the ballot paper. It is called a tendered ballot, and the tendered ballot account must be kept in a separate sheet. You will be provided with a list of tendered votes, that is 17B annexure, where the serial number should be written, name of the elector must be taken, serial number of the electoral as per the electoral roll should be written. Here one important thing on the 4th column is serial number of the in the register of voters, that is in the 17A, somebody else voted for him. Find out and check that serial number in 17A, that serial number in 17A must be mentioned here. Get the signature or thumb impression of the voter. So, what is the care that should be taken? You have to find out in the 17A the number of the particular this voter and find out in which serial number of the 17A register that person has voted, some other person has voted, and write the serial number here. So, this is the annexure, 17B annexure, where the mention should be made regarding the tendered vote.